Okay, first of all, I want to thank everyone who has come out this afternoon. I know it's in midday, but it is for an important cause. And I want to introduce myself. Most of you know who I am, but I am Leslie Mathews. I am heading up this new chapter of Moms for Liberty here in Warren County, which I'm very excited about. This is a national organization that was founded in Florida, and it is spreading throughout the United States. It is a good movement, and I feel that it will be a very positive thing here in our county. So, is there anyone that would like to open our meeting up in prayer? If not, I will go ahead.
Did you say you
Mr. Masood,
would you like prayer?
Yes, sir. Would you like to do that? Okay.
Heavenly Father, we take this time to once again thank you for all things, and we thank you for loving us even though we fail you time and time again. Father, as you well know, our country is teetering on the edge. We have been weak where we should have been strong, and it is up to patriots such as Leslie Mathews and members of Moms of Liberty who will be on the front grounds of taking our country back. Please bless Leslie and this movement and love her. She will need your strength as we all do. We ask this in your Son's name. Jesus, thank you for dying on the cross for our sins. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Would you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the born and unborn.
This is our Secretary-Treasurer, Justine Dunn. She is going to take a moment and read a Madison moment, and I'll just explain what that is in Moms for Liberty. A Madison moment is a time for us to reflect on our freedoms, that he was, of course, with our Constitution, and it just helps all of us to get our minds focused on what this whole organization is about, and it's about liberty. So Justine's going to share something today from a Madison moment.
So can everyone hear me okay? It's
If-
not that far.
If you'd like.
Oh, should I go?
Yes.
Okay. So this is from James Madison. It's from the preamble of the Bill of Rights. First, that there be prefixed to the Constitution a declaration that all power is originally vested in and consequently derived from the people. That government is instituted and ought to be exercised for the benefit of the people, which consists in the enjoyment of life and liberty, with the right of acquiring and using property, and generally of pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. That the people have an indubitable, unalienable, and indefeasible right to reform or change their government whenever it be found adverse or inadequate to the purposes of its institution.
Thank you. May we reflect upon that.
Amen to that.
Yes. Okay, we are going to move right into, I'm very precise usually with an agenda. So we are going to move into our organization mission and goals. And if you saw on the table as you walked in, there would have been a small packet that had the Moms for Liberty, and then it starts out with our mission. That is what we're going to walk through. And I wrote the mission up here just so everyone could clearly see. But Moms for Liberty mission is, Moms of Liberty is dedicated to fighting for the survival of America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents to defend their parental rights at all levels of government. Now, all of us know that we as parents or grandparents, we have a God-given right to our children. I always say, it goes a little further, we also have a God-given responsibility to our children. And that is something that we do not take lightly. That is a huge responsibility. And the reason for Moms for Liberty is because, as we all are aware, things keep just snowballing in our country in regards to our children. And I've raised my children, and now I have grandchildren, and I just see it continually going downhill. And it's time that I, and hopefully others, will begin to stand up and take back what is rightfully ours. And those are our kids. I don't send my kids to school to be indoctrinated by others who feel that what they're teaching is the right thing for my kids. I need to pay close attention, and I need to be right on the mark when it comes to what's being taught and what's being told to our children. So that is one reason why I have stood up to launch this chapter here in Warren County. I think it's a very vital and important chapter for people to become aware of and to start becoming involved in. So as I look out today, we don't have a lot of public school parents, but we want to start getting them more aware and more involved. And if you would, please turn to your packet that I had given you. I will reread our mission, as that is very important. Moms for Liberty is dedicated to fighting for the survival of America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents to defend their parental rights at all levels of government. Who this organization is: Moms for Liberty. The members are moms, dads, grandparents, and community members. Anyone that has a passion for their children can be a part of this chapter here in Warren County. This organization was founded January 1st, 2021, down in Florida by Tiffany Justice and Tina Deskovich. They were former school board members who felt that it was time that they got more involved in what was being taught in our public school system in America. Since this day of January 1st, 2021, which is just a little over 2 years ago, there have been 100,000 parents get involved in this organization. There has been over 200 chapters created in America, throughout America, in 40 states. Now that's incredible. That tells you something about what this whole organization is about. So how we fight: we hold leaders accountable. We hold decision makers accountable, or we work to replace them with liberty-minded individuals. We spread awareness. We spread our awareness and an understanding of the limited role of government. We oppose government overreach. We stand together against government overreach and intimidation tactics. We promote liberty. We promote teaching the principles of liberty in our homes and our community. We engage on key issues. We engage our communities and elected leaders on key issues impacting our families. We activate to public service. We activate liberty-minded leaders to serve in elected positions. All of those are very, very strong points of why we exist. And like I said, this is new, but when we began to make our community aware of what this chapter is going to do, what our goals are, then I think we can have a powerful community for our school system and our children. What chapters do throughout America, and always keep in mind too that the national level has informed me that individual chapters deal with individual issues in their own communities. We are not told by those ladies in Florida that Warren County, Virginia has to follow what's going on, let's say, in Texas or wherever. But yes, we're going to pay attention to what's going on, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to be looking at our own issues that we're dealing with right here at our own back doors. That's where we're going to stand. We're going to start here. This is what it's about. Starting in our own community, being strong for our own community, helping other parents to realize and understand this is what's going on. And I'm not saying it's all wrong, but there are issues that we need to deal with. There's definitely issues. So anyway, the chapters fight cultural war. They expose and educate at their local levels. They deep dive into curriculum. They speak at local and state school board meetings. They educate community on issues, expose and shine light on concerns. They write letters, they have phone campaigns, they hold Madison meetings, they educate people going back to the Constitution, because how often are people sitting and reading what the U.S. Constitution says and the rights that it provides all of us? They support parental rights legislation. They identify and recruit friendly teachers and liberty-minded candidates and hold rallies. Now, this is what they're doing at the national level. This is what they're offering for us to do. But like I said, we will decide at our local level what is needed and what we must do, okay? Legislation at state levels. They create Moms for Liberty state legislative committees. They create legislative agendas for each state. They build relationships with state reps and garner support for bills. That's incredible. This is what moms can do. Elections. We impact school boards. We interview and vet school board candidates, and we also endorse. So this campaign, or this chapter, will be on the lookout for things like that to help improve in our community where needed. Where we are going for Moms for Liberty, we expand our army of moms to all 3,130 counties in the U.S. That is a goal that the national level has. It's an incredible goal. And what did we say that they already had was in 40 states, there's over 200 chapters. So they're well on their way within a 2-year time period. They want to take back the culture, restore core American principles in the classroom, a prerequisite for cultural renewal, improve the quality of education in America, graduate well-educated and well-adjusted students. Take back the school boards with parents and not with special interest. So there you go. This is an overview to let you know that what you stepped into today by coming here at 3 p.m. to learn more about Moms for Liberty. There is the whole overview on what we stand for, what we hope to do here in our county, and that is to make things better for all. That is not to say any negative. We want to stay positive at all times, but anyone knows that there's always improvement in any area of our lives. In our personal level, in our local level, in our government level. So that's not saying that there's negative here, it's just saying we have the ability to improve. And that's what we want to do. And we know that that's what we need to do. So with that being said, on that sheet is also the Warren County chapter. We have a young woman who is our vice chair. Her name is Sarah. She was unable to make it today due to a calendar conflict, but that's okay. I told her I would explain that and let everyone know. She is our vice chair. This is Justine Dunn. She is our secretary treasurer. And I am thankful that you are here today, Justine. And as a joke, I've told her she's my right hand, and if she's not careful, she's going to become my left. Yes, and I just want to say to every one of you, I'm very, very grateful that you have taken your time to be here today and to hear what this is about. We're going to have an opportunity to share at the end about different things or questions, but I also want to make certain that everyone understands that a Moms for Liberty are strong mothers who they care. They care deeply about their children, and I fit in that category way up here. And I know, looking at you guys, I'm sure you do as well. But just so you know, as the chair of this new chapter here, I want you to know where I stand. My kids are priority. I have 3 grandchildren, and they are the joy of my life. And now that I have grandchildren, it's a whole different story. And then I see what they're being faced with, and that's where I step up. I step up even more bolder now because I guess I'm older. I guess things are more, they're coming to me in different areas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't allow this. I can't do this. And as long as I stand and do what I know to do, I pray that it's a positive change for our community, and that's why I'm doing this. That is my whole purpose, to stand here today and introduce this chapter to you, because I want to see positive change in Warren County. I want to see our students move on and be equipped to go out into the world and to be what they've been called to be, what God gave them from the moment they were born here. Let them be and let them thrive in liberty. And guys, if we do not fight for our liberty, we're going to lose it pretty darn quick. So let me remind everyone that Moms for Liberty, we are strong fighters, but we are also joyful warriors. Joyful warriors. We're not going to go out acting like we're crazy idiots. That never gets you anywhere. We are going to go out as strong warriors with a big smile on our face. And regardless of any opposition, we're going to stand firm because we know truth. And we know what's best for our kids. And we're going to stand for what's best for our kids. Regardless if someone says, good job, Leslie. Yeah, you did it. You know what? It's not about that. It's about making a change, making a difference, doing what's best for all of our kids. So I just wanted to let you know that we have hope for our future. We enthusiastically defend liberty, and we are cheerful in the face of adversity. That's what a Moms for Liberty is. And again, we're strong moms, but you dads, you grandpas, you aunts, uncles, you are welcome to be a part of this when you have the passion for your kids. So I want everyone that is here to understand that mission, that goal for Warren County, and let's work together as one, unifying each other in a whole one group. Regardless of different backgrounds or different beliefs, let's do this for our children. Let's stand up. Let's do this. Thank you. Now, I have invited Colonel Lundberg today to do a briefing on the Warren County Public School budget. And I will stand over here. I'm going to put some figures up of what he says and just welcome him. And thank you so much, John, for being here.
Well, I see a lot of familiar faces out there. For the one or two of you that I don't know, let me introduce myself. As Leslie said, my name is John Lundberg. In 1993, I retired after 30 years with the U.S. Army. And 18 years later, after that, my wife and I, Marlene, who's in the audience today, we moved to Front Royal to be near our children and grandchildren. I am a big supporter of Leslie Mathews. I've known her for some 25 years. She went to work at Christendom. My son was there from 93 to 97. My daughter, Christine, is also here with us today. She went to work there in 98, I think it was the year before the year after Leslie was there. So I've known her for a long time, and she's got spunk, she's got determination. She's the kind of people you hire when you're in the Army. You know, there's people that get things done, and there's some that don't, and Leslie's one that does. Believe me, when she says she's going to do a good job promoting parental rights in public education, you can take it to the bank. I think she will, and I think she'll be very even-handed. I think she'll be very fair. She's just a good person to have on your team. You know, when you're 82 and retired, you have time that a lot of people that are busy working or raising families don't have to look into things that really interest you. And one of the things that's interested me for a long time is the cost of public education, along with a curriculum that's gone astray and discipline problems. If some of the rumors that you hear of what goes on in classrooms across America to some here in Royal, in Warren County are taking place. On the cost issue, I took an interest over a year ago with what it costs taxpayers in Warren County to educate the number of children we have in this community. And the figures are, it takes 81, last fiscal year, ended in June of this year, taxpayers in Warren County spent $81 million to educate 5,000 kids. 10,000 or 10 million of that figure was for mortgage payments on the schools that we're paying off. 70 million plus was for the operating budget. You add them together, $81 million out of our tax budget, out of our pocketbooks and checkbooks to educate 5,000 kids. But I had prepared a briefing. It takes 30, 40 minutes, and I've been given 3 or 4 minutes to do it here today. But I got a little snapshot review that I can do, and that's what I gave Leslie a week ago, and she said, John, could you come and just give the highlights of that talk? And I said, I'd be glad to. First of all, before I give you the figures that I've got here in front of me, I want to thank the Warren County Public School staff for all the cooperation they've given me in the last year and a half, roughly. Every single statistic, every single fact that I present here this afternoon comes from their office. I've done nothing but submit Freedom of Information requests. How much total money do you pay on salaries? How do you break it down between the 400 teachers we have, the 300 other employees we have, and so forth. And then the 35 administrators we have. And we went from there, and they've given me every single request that I've asked for. I hope to leave you this afternoon with 3 points. Number one, as I already mentioned, the taxpayers here in Warren County spend $81 million to educate 5,000 students in 5 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools. The second point is Warren County taxpayers spent $26 million last fiscal year to 402 teachers. The salaries for those teachers range from $45,900 for a beginning teacher to $67,620 for a teacher with 30 years experience. The third point I want to leave with you is Warren County taxpayers spent an average of $115,000 that were paid to 35 administrators, and I'm going to delineate those for you in a moment. Let me go briefly back each one of these 3 points. First, the $81 million that we spend educating 5,000 kids. If you divide the one number into the other, that's $16,200 that every one of those 5,000 kids represents. That's a lot of money. Also, people are under the general impression that a lot of public school funding comes from the federal government. It does not. The $81 million pretty much is split down the middle. I think it's a little bit higher at the state level, but roughly it's 50% from the state, or a little bit less than 50% from the state, a little bit less than 50% from the county, and 1 or 2% comes from the federal government. Because of COVID years, I think there was a little bit of a spike in what the federal government provided, but it's basically half the money we spent here for our schools come from the state, and half of it comes from the county. Point number 2 on those teachers, again, I want to emphasize that that $26 million figure represents 32% of all the money we spend on public education. So the question I'm asking Leslie and other people here this afternoon, where is the other 68% spent? And if we had a 2-hour briefing, I could explain some of that to you. There's 35 administrators in the public school system in Warren County. There's 1 that's not filled right now, so there's 34 that they paid last fiscal year. You take the total number they take the total amount of money that they spend for administrators divided by the 34, and it comes out to an average of $115,000. So administrators are making considerably more than the average classroom teacher. The 34 administrators in this category are 1 superintendent, 2 assistant superintendents, 19 principals and assistant principals, 2 high school athletic directors, 10 directors and supervisors of the following departments: human resources, transportation, finance, operations and maintenance, technology, Title I programs, special services, testing, and Virginia Preschool Initiative. In closing, let me say that it appears that many good classroom teachers in Warren County are badly underpaid because of how money is being spent outside the classroom. I hope somehow, some way, that this glimpse at public school funding will give you some kind of an idea that there's waste in the system. And if Leslie and the people that I'm sure she will depend on for advice and what have you, gives you any indication, I think we can expose some of that waste and hopefully take a step forward. I know that Leslie has pledged to me personally that she's going to take an in-depth look at the curriculum and discipline problems and also come to some kind of conclusion as to where the $81 million that came out of your pocketbooks and mine last fiscal year, could be spent perhaps a little bit more wisely. I encourage everybody to get the word out to everyone to join Leslie's chapter. I think Moms for Liberty are just a step in the right direction. From one chapter in one state a brief 2 years ago, they're now up to over 200 chapters, I understand, in something like 40 states. We have touched a responsive chord. Moms and dads and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins and what have you want to be in charge of their kids' education, and right now they don't have nearly as much impact as they would like. So with that in the way, I'll certainly be around afterwards if anyone wants to talk, but Leslie, that's it. You're up.
Thank you, John. Thank you again. I am going to just pass around. There are 10 copies, and this is just an example of waste in our school system this year, and I did not receive back any firm response in regards to what I had questioned. So I will let you see that, and if you don't mind, just pass them around, and I will hold one up here. Actually, pass those, please. Here's a picture that you're holding in your hand, and I am also holding. This is a picture of what was dumped in the Warren County Transfer Station back in July of 2022. And this picture came, I know it was questioned, where did the picture come from? And I said, absolutely give permission to use my name. We had just come back from vacation, and unfortunately, we had a disaster at our home, so my husband and I were cleaning up everything that took place from a storm that when we were 14 hours away from home. So we were putting everything in the back of our pickup truck, and he was taking it. We don't live far from the transfer station. When we got there, here come a dump truck, Warren County Public School dump truck, loaded with chairs, desks, filing cabinets. And they were dumping it in the same dumpster my husband was dumping it. So he asked, where is this coming from? And the gentleman driving, very polite, said, oh, we just cleaned out the school. And he says, hang on, and he took his phone and snapped this picture. This bothered me because I, along with everyone else in this county, keep experiencing increase after increase. Now, I'm just saying at a personal level, I am thankful for my job and my husband's job. I'm thankful we're able to pay what we have to pay, but daggone it. It just keeps going up, and my age keeps going up too. And I can imagine those who are on fixed income, who their income does not keep increasing, but yet live here and have to keep paying higher and higher taxes to keep up with what's going on. So yes, I am very conservative. Yes, I look out for my family, but I look out for others as well. I think about others. And every cent that is spent and that was thrown away in that dumpster was, to me, uncalled for, because this could have been used. You can see for yourself that this stuff is not broken. I don't know what the reason was. I brought it about, and I've never received a response. So I am a firm believer in Almighty God, and I'm just going to tell you that He doesn't work on my time schedule, but this works perfectly when presenting this today in regards to our budget. It works perfectly. So I just wanted everyone to see that yes, this is a concern. This was just one day in the dumpster. We weren't there being watchdogs the rest of the day. We've got other stuff to do too. But anyway, I wanted you guys to be aware of this. So, and you may keep the picture if it's in your hand. Now we will move on to, we're going to talk about our next school board meeting date. It was on the table, and Justine and I worked together on preparing what we pulled off of line, the Warren County Public School meetings, the school board meetings. We also placed in category for you, and for anyone that's out there that you want to share this with, they have the regular meetings on the first Wednesday of the month and their work session meetings on the third Wednesday. So they're also at 2 different places and in 2 different times. So this we made available because we as Moms for Liberty want to be paying attention to what's going on their agendas, and we just want to be a part and know what's coming up. So then the other thing is we have set up meetings for this chapter to coincide with those board meetings. So today we are a week ahead, and I will say we're a week ahead of ourselves due to the fact that I have a little grandson in Georgia who will be 2 years old next Sunday. And this Nana is going to Georgia. So, therefore, little Christopher will see his Nana, and I haven't seen him for about 4 months now. So it'll be an exciting time, and that is why we are a week ahead this time. But I wanted to make sure that you guys knew to coincide with our school board's meeting date that we're going to meet the Sunday before, in hopes that the agenda is already online, that we can review things and we can move forward with issues if need be. So those are your 2 things about the school board meetings. We're a little early, but that's good. We've come to a time where if anyone has any questions for Colonel Lundberg or myself or Justine. Well, one more thing. I'm sorry, Justine, can I see that you have there? That sheet right there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This was also, before I move forward, this was also on the table. And this is what Moms for Liberty, where we will keep ourselves in check at all times, okay? We will ask ourselves the question, if an issue comes up, we will say, is it within our mission? Because there are lots and lots of issues out there, but if it doesn't pertain to what's in our mission, it's not that we don't care, it's just that this chapter is going to focus totally on the parental rights issues. Okay, excuse me. So this flow chart is just a reminder to help us all remember that if you're a part of this chapter, we're going to ask ourselves, if someone brings up and says, hey, this is what I'd like to discuss, and we'll be open to discuss it, but we're first going to ask ourselves, is this about parental rights? Okay? If it is, then yes, we're going to move forward with that. If we say no, but it does, then we ask ourselves, does this directly affect the education of America's children? If it is yes, then we're going to go back to yes, it will fit into our mission. If it is totally a no, then we're going to have to just leave it alone, okay? So I want everyone that is a part of this chapter to keep our focus on exactly what we're here for. And this will help us all to remember that. So that's one of our goals as well, to keep this in mind each and every time we meet. We will ask ourselves these questions. And I'm not going to set the agenda and say, this is what we're gonna talk about, this is what we're gonna talk about. Sometimes, yeah, if somebody comes to me or emails me and says, hey Leslie, this is what I just found out, can we discuss this? I will put that in for our discussion time. It's not gonna be, now today was because this is all new, and I thought that was wonderful, what Colonel Lumberg shared with me last week, and I really appreciate that. And that's why I wanted to bring that about today. So just keep in mind, what we all are focusing for is one goal, and that's the betterment of our county and giving of the awareness to our parents, okay? So now with that said, we will move on down to our questions. And if you do have any questions, please raise your hand and I will call on you. And if it's, wow, you're okay.
I'm quick. Huh?
Yes, you are. Okay.
Aside from waste,
Yes.
because sitting where we sit, we try to control budget. Budget comes from the people. Aside from waste, what are the 2 or 3 things that you believe is wrong with the school system? That you can actually put your finger on?
First of all, Mr. Babe, I'm not going to go to the negative because I want to stay positive. But some of the things that I personally, as a grandmother with 2 young granddaughters in the schools, I will personally say, and not speak on a chapter level, that I have felt that going into, okay, one's in elementary now and one's in middle. I've had a very good experience at the middle school this year, believe it or not. People were telling me how fearful it will be, but I've already raised 3 kids. I went through these schools myself. My kids have gone through them. All the way back to my grandfather has gone through these schools. So I don't want to say things on a negative level because I'm not here to destroy our public schools. I just know there's improvement. I don't feel that the school that my one granddaughter attends is a very friendly parental school. I honestly don't like the fact if I want to eat lunch with my granddaughter that I walk into a cafeteria and I have to face the wall to eat lunch with her when her other friends are all at the tables. I'm sure they have their reasons, but I raised 3 kids. I ate at that same school with 3 kids, and I got to know their friends. They enjoyed me sitting at the table, talking with them, sharing lunch with them at that elementary level. That's not so today. I reach out to teachers in regards to questions, and I'll just tell you another thing. This year, I tried to get in for the parent conference. Teacher, gee whiz, I didn't know you had to sign up in August. Daggone, for October. I've never had to sign up 2 months ahead of time. Didn't even know that I had to sign up, but my granddaughter's teacher said, we don't have a spot for you, Miss Mathews. We don't have a spot for you, but you can call. We'll talk to you on the phone. I didn't like that, but I had to accept that. I went to Skyline Middle, walked in all 4 classrooms. I was very impressed with that 6th grade team. Without a doubt, I was welcomed. They made time to speak to me in regards to my granddaughter's academics. The elementary school, telephone. I never even, not once, and we're in February, have met my granddaughter's 2nd teacher. She's in her main room. I met her only because I went in, during the opening, but never got to meet the one that she was being switched over to for math or whatever. Never once met her. I've even sent dojo messages, I would love to meet you. There's nothing, no welcoming.
So communication is a problem.
Communication, only in certain schools.
Understood, but
Yes,
communication
is a problem. I feel like parents were shut out more than we should be. Bottom line, that's where I feel. I also know of discipline problems that's not put out there for parents to know.
Correct.
And I know of them because of children telling me. Not just my grandkids, but some of their friends.
Could you elaborate? When you were there for lunch, they made you face the wall because you would interfere by looking at the other children?
I don't know what their reasonings are, but yes, you go into their cafeteria, and as soon as you go into the cafeteria, you are routed to the left, and the table's line right here. And you are this way. You sit here, and everybody else is in the cafeteria that way. Now, I don't know what the reasoning for it, but it's not a welcoming. You know, I just say forget it. I stopped doing it because it doesn't even feel worthwhile. And then there's behavioral issues, as I've stated, that I know the school system doesn't want to make it public because it looks bad for all of us. But you know what? There comes a time in life we need to take responsibility. We need to take responsibility for what is taking place, and parents need to understand it, and they need to be aware of it when their kids are there. So those are just a couple of my personal, again, those are my personal things that I deal with. Yes, sir.
How do I get some of those shirts?
How do you get them? Okay. You may go on momsforliberty.org. And they have a little tab that says store. And you can buy everything you want to. And I think that would be great because then you can start walking around Front Royal. And
If I give you a donation, will you get me one?
I certainly will. I certainly will. Yes, sir.
Yes, I was wondering, have you gotten any feedback from any parents on the amount of interaction that parents are given as far as what is taught in the schools? Do they have any input? Do they have any, you know,
Okay, I know last year, and I was a part of a parent, you know, that group of parents that did go into the school. They were looking at the curriculum for the, about the SEL issues. And the school system did make it public for parents, but I think it was like at 4 o'clock. I think it was somewhere along there, 4:30. And I went into the school, I made a point to make sure that I got there. And, but there was a lot of parents that could not make it during that time window. So therefore, I don't feel like, although our school system, yes, was responding to parents who were asking for that, I don't feel like that was even parent friendly. To be able to do that. Then everything was laid out on the tables. Well, when I say everything that I was aware of was laid out on the tables, and you could go and sit at the lunch table. Now, I didn't have to face the wall in the lunchroom. I just remembered that. I could sit right there at the table, and it was there. And there was a computer. If we wanted to look at it, what our children, because I questioned that. I said, are you teaching my child from this book, or are they on a Chromebook? Because this is a part too that bothers me, that they're on these Chromebooks, but I'm not allowed to see what's on that Chromebook. And I'm questioning my granddaughters, what did you do? What did you say you did? And, well, Nana, it's on our Chromebook. You can't see that. And that bothers me to no end.
I was at the school board meeting in February a year ago when that was discussed, and what the school administration said, oh, that's proprietary. We can't let you see that.
That's what I was getting ready. Yes, they were saying that at the school that night. We can show you why you're sitting here, but we cannot give you the link to get in to be able to look. Yes, sir.
So I've got 2 questions. Number one, so not to go negative, but sort of on an ideological level. So we know within Virginia, teachers, administrators have been sort of force-fed this implicit bias training for months on end now. So my question would be, logistically, how are we going as an organization to attack that sort of thing? Because that is absolutely taking away from the parental rights. I mean, you can talk about a lot of different logistical aspects of the school, but just on an ideological level, I mean, is there a way that we can sort of come together as folks within the community to fight against that being pushed on the kids around here? My second question is sort of a practical question to see if this is something that falls in the purview of Moms for Liberty. So right now we see this clear, waste issue within the funding. And a question I have is, on the high school level especially, the opioid epidemic is rampant within the schools. And something that's been shown to sort of fight that is well-funded shop classes that have honestly been disappearing and drying up around the country, especially in Virginia. So is that something that we can sort of, as a community, push to make sure that the funds are allocated in the right way to improve our shop classes, improve our funding for our sports programs so that our kids are trained well? So ideologically, how do we fight that? And on the level of sort of helping kids get the right kind of education, it's something that I'm passionate about, the shop class. How can we fight to make sure that allocation is right? Is that something that this organization would want to tackle?
That is a great question. And yes, I'm going to tell you that I believe that we can tackle anything if I've got the Army. So there you go. Anybody that wants to get, and I'm saying army of moms in this community, if we get the awareness out to people, I think anything's possible, because that's what it's all about. We build this chapter up. We let people understand what their role is, and we can go to Richmond. I look forward to the day that Moms for Liberty in Warren County goes on down to Richmond and sets in and hears people, our legislative, and gets up and speaks to it. That is one of my goals, and I hope that's what other parents will be able to comprehend what this is all about. And again, going back to the local level of what Moms for Liberty national level has told me in my, it was an interview that lasted an hour and a half before they would approve. So they're not a joke. Moms for Liberty is definitely a serious organization that will stand up and do what it needs to do to protect our children and to see that things are moving in a positive manner for the betterment of our children. And yes, about those shop classes, that's a local issue. If we have parents that have passion, for their children that want to have that, then yes, I say yes, we will tackle that. We will move forward with issues like that. Yes.
Actually, I'd like to comment on that. Myself and Dr. Ballinger have been working on a program. Maybe y'all can help us. Many years ago, middle school football was taken from our schools. So me being a coach in the high school and Little League for so many years, as a good way to mentor the youth. So I reached out to Dr. Ballinger to see if we can start a middle school football program. We need to raise $40,000. He's got it set up. The Warren County Sheriff's Office provides a football camp every year free to all the youth around, both girls and guys. So maybe Moms of Liberty can help us raise that money, because the mentoring with the coaches and so forth is huge. It was huge raising my children who all went here. And one of our SROs is in the Hall of Fame in Warren County, Jesse Henry. So we really are trying to also help the youth and mentoring them, but we need y'all's help as well. Starting a youth football program is just one start, because I know back in the day, if it wasn't for football, I wouldn't have finished where I was, and I got a lot of my teaching from there as well. So maybe y'all could help us with that.
Okay. That's another thing on the local issue, which definitely, I just need to build my chapter because I'm only one person. And when we start to build, when people become aware of the positive impact that we can be, and that's what we always want to stay on. We want to stay on the positive impact. Then I believe that Moms for Liberty will just take off, and then we can do what we want to do in our public school system. And that's to make it better. Like I said, it's not bringing out the negative. It is just saying there is room, definitely room for improvements in our Warren County public school system.
Leslie, is there a legislative committee in your organization that addresses it at the state level. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Virginia Department of Education had a meeting. They were evaluating the curriculum for Governor Youngkin's changes in history. And Ann Holton, I pulled it up because I wanted to read this to you. Ann Holton, who happens to be the wife of Tim Kaine, sits on the Virginia Department of Education board. And she said, to an audience as inclusive as our Virginia is, you cannot reference the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution as remarkable documents. She insisted that anyone also acknowledge that they are fundamental in enshrining slavery and limiting the protections that they provided only to white property-owning men. With that kind of bias, I'm not sure how we address at the legislative side. This is a woman who makes decisions about curriculum. Yeah. She's voting. She's making decisions on the curriculum in our
and I hope
state.
she understands that there's mama warriors that are coming right up behind her.
This is what we're up
against.
against.
I realize it, and I'm no wuss. I'm no wuss to opposition or adversity, just so y'all know. That doesn't faze me a bit. I mean, yes, her words are strong, and yes, she's got a grip on things, but we grassroots people, that's why I'm dressed the way I am today, to let you know I'm just your normal, humble mom, okay? But I care with a deep passion, and I'm hoping that this gets out through our community because, yes, there is going to be a legislative branch of this. If I can build this to be what it's supposed to be, we're going to have what it takes, and that's what I'm hoping for. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to take work. I'm not scared of work. When I know that I'm on the path to do what's good and right, then that's where my feet are going to be, and that's what I'm going to work hard to do. And I want others to realize that. I can't emphasize that enough today, is I want our community to become aware of the potentials that we have in Warren County as just moms. Come to that. We will march down there. We will stand up. We will hopefully take back what is rightfully ours in America. That is what the whole goal is. Too long has things been swept under the rug, and parents are not realizing until bang, one day, it's like it hits you upside the head and they say, oh, this is what's going on? You don't realize it. And I'm guilty of that, but I plan to dig in deep, and I need help with doing that work as well. So yes, I want to be on that level. I want it to go that far. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
How much funding do you need to make this happen?
I think that's going to be...
Pick a big number, Leslie.
$1 million. Yeah, $1 million sounds great. Hey. No, to be realistic, I am not out asking for money right now because I need to get this thing started. It doesn't take a lot of money to get it started. It takes a lot of strength, okay? The strength is what I need. The backbones of parents and citizens in this community. That's what I need first and foremost. Once I get that, then we start looking at our possibilities on how to do this or to help in this and that, and that's where it takes money. And at that moment, I will, reconsider an amount. But right now, I need strength. Strength from the people.
Good answer.
Anybody else?
Leslie, I put together for the audience here an information sheet on a little bit of background on Leslie, and one of the things when I called to her attention that 23% of all school-age kids in Warren County are not going to public schools. I came up with that statistic 18 months ago. I have never been challenged on it. I went to the National U.S. Census for 2020. I put in Warren County, Virginia. Up popped all kinds of data. 2 line items I call to your attention. How many kids live in the county under the age of 18? How many kids live in the county under the age of 5? You subtract the second number from the first one and you get school-age kids. It was 6,400 school-age kids in Warren County. You go to the public schools and say how many kids you have in In your 9 schools, 5,000. That means 23%, 1 out of 4. And Ralph Waller and I met for 2 hours with Dr. Ballinger a couple of years, about 18 months ago. We called that to his attention. He said he was going to look into it. Have no idea what's ever been done. But anyway, Leslie, I know one of the things you said is that you were going to use that as one of your goals. You want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, with what Colonel Lundberg just stated, it does make one wonder when we have a nice public school system, is why parents are choosing. I mean, you look around our area alone, and I think there's like six private schools, along with, you know, I can't recall right off, but I think there's at least six private schools that parents are putting their children in. And I will just tell you guys that in the fall of 20, when Warren County Public Schools had our children leave their classrooms in March, okay, I about panicked because I'm raising my granddaughters, and I have to also have a full-time job. And so I've got my full-time job, and I've got 2 little girls. And I am thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Well, thanks be to God, I brought my stuff for first time in 20-some years at my job and set it on my table in my kitchen or my dining area. And each day there was stuff put on the chromes, okay? And I'm not knocking our teachers because this was all new to them. It was all new to parents, grandparents. It was a very big transitional time. But it really wasn't hardly any teaching. I mean, it was simple. What these kids sat in school all day to and what was put on the chromes, they could do in 30 minutes. And then they were done for the day. It was not anything that I felt that was really building their educational skills or helping them through their academics during that time period. So I had made up my mind. I said to my husband, honey, we're going to have a huge sacrifice here because these kids are not going back to school. And I said, we're going to have to put them in a private school. And oh my. I enrolled those kids for 1 year. That's all I could do because of the expense of it. To keep my job and to keep them in an academic atmosphere, that was a huge sacrifice that year. I would just tell you, and those who do educate their kids in a private sector understand. Then when things started looking up, I guess it was in 22, because they were there 20 to 21, okay. I think it was the fall of, that following year, I put them back in public school. And that's where they've been. But I don't know the reasoning for other parents. I do want to find out. I don't know if it's, I really just don't know. That was my personal experience of why I had to pull them out of public school and put them in there that year. But they're back. Yes, sir?
Leslie, you mentioned, that you're looking for parents basically to be involved.
Yes.
But a statistic, my son-in-law was a teacher in the 5th grade at elementary school. And when it was time for parent-teacher meetings, he had 63 students and only 2 parents showed up. And out of the 2 parents, one of them had to bring their child to translate for the parents. And that was it. That was the extent of parent-teacher meetings in 5th grade, which is a very critical grade for kids. And so you want to talk about parental involvement, that's a problem. And that's something that really needs to, you're going to have it's an uphill battle.
It is.
Because they're commuting, they're working, they're struggling just like what you're doing.
Yes. And that's what we face that here in our county, because for years, well, just growing up, being born and raised here, and I've never left this area. When I graduated in 1988, Warren County High School, there wasn't any jobs here for us kids. We graduated, you either went off to college, and unfortunately, at the time, I guess, there just wasn't any money. I come from a large family, and there wasn't any funds to really do that. And I just went immediately down the road. down the road, I started working for the Navy, immediately out of high school. Then built myself up, went to Fairfax. I went from Manassas to Fairfax. And this was every day. And then starting my family, I would have to get my children up so early in the morning and take them to a daycare. And I'm not saying, you know, anything good about myself. This is normal here. This is normal unless you are blessed to have a job here. This is the norm. Parents are going up and down that road, and they are not being here to be involved, and they're exhausted. This is why I'm saying, whether I get them involved in a different way and they can't be here on Sundays at 3 p.m., that's okay with me. That's okay. I'm going to try different sources to pull them in and get them aware of what's taking place, because I want to be on the parental friendly level. That's what it's about. I want to work with them, not on my time schedule, and make this happen here in Warren County. But it is true that I guess then I should give that elementary school thumbs up, double thumbs up, that they didn't have room for me that day for 5th grade. It is crucial, I think, that parents get involved and know their children's teachers, and know what's going on behind that door when it goes locked. It gets locked, you know. It's very important. So I hope I've answered things well. I'm trying not to put too much into that, but give y'all facts. Anybody else? Do you have any questions for Colonel Lundberg from what he presented?
I have one question. Did you look at other counties in the region and see if they have, if there's a similar pattern of, large numbers of school-aged children not in public schools?
Not really, but in general conversations, I think that it's about the same as it is here. I've heard people tell me all they want to do when you bring up a negative statistic is say, well, we're no better, no worse than Page County, Frederick County, what have you. And I thought to myself, that's not much of a standard. I mean, you set a standard for something, and just because the other guy's, doing the same thing, that's justification for you. Right. I just think, when I heard Sheriff Butler say that he needed $40,000 to resurrect a junior high football program, God, out of $81 million, you should be able to get $40,000 somewhere. Yeah. I tell you, the financing is just, to look, and I tell you, I've had excellent cooperation with people. So I've got a 40-page book at home of everything that was spent by Warren County Public Schools for last year. The $70 million operating fund, 40 pages. And I said, look, I need to kind of synthesize and get down to something I can communicate in a 15-word sentence to ordinary, hardworking people who don't have and it's so hard to do it. That's why I'm convinced until we put moms and dads in charge of selecting or directing the education of their kids, we've got too many bureaucrats, we've got too many people, and I thought Moms from Liberty was a great, great concept. Puts moms and dads in charge of their schools. And with the real key is, and maybe Leslie hasn't said it real loud and clear, we've got to take over the school boards. We've got 3 school board races coming up this November. If we get people that think like she does, elected school boards, now you can make some decisions. Have you ever tried to get something on the agenda for a school board? It's really, really hard. You go in there, you pick up the agenda, you got the consent agenda for the routine stuff, you got the action agenda for the other. I'll get off my stump.
Okay, well, I also, if there's no more questions, I will close up with stating too that once I got approval from the national level for this Moms for Liberty chapter here in Warren County, Virginia, I have had very welcoming responses from the moms in Loudoun County, the moms in Prince William County, the mothers in Fauquier County, and the moms down in Bedford, Virginia. I was shocked at the welcoming text and emails that I was receiving, and they were like, yay, Warren County's joining, yes, all right. So I just wanted to let you know that it doesn't just stop in our county. When we get this chapter built, we're a part of the huge national group. And people are paying attention because they're just grassroots people, they're hardworking people, taking care of their kids and looking out for them. And we want to get America back where it originated from. That is what we need. That's what America needs, desperately. So with all that said, if there's no other comments, if there's no other questions, then we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting.